I want to pray for a minute here. Lord, thank you for all the things that you do in our lives. Thank you for everything that you have accomplished in this world of reaching out to people through all of us and keeping the gospel going throughout the world and throughout everything else that's going on. Keeping us all safe and keeping us guided in the way of you, Lord. And thank you very much. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. This is one of my favorite pictures.
Yeah, I've got one of them. We got one of those. Yep. That's Brother Gerald.
Yeah.
Brother Gerald Durstein.
Brother Gerald. Just so I stay on point. I write so many different things every once in a while.
Hey, if it works better without the mic, you don't have to use the mic. Just as long as they can.
I'm
They can.
loud enough. I'm hoping you can hear me. Anyway, I'll keep it down there so I'm loud enough that it'll hear me as I'm talking anyway.
Oh, good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right. Okay, there we go. Okay. To start out my story, basically, I was born in Jersey. In New Jersey. Lived home most of my life in New Jersey. Started out when I first came home. That's when everything started as far as abuse and things like that, where my brother decided that he was 18 months older than me, decided to take a screwdriver and try to kill me at birth when I came home. But from that point on, the war started between me and him. Literally. And it still goes to this day. Even though I forgive him and he's never forgiven me, but I still forgave him for everything that happened in my life. I grew up in Levittown, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. When I first started out, my mother was single. Didn't realize that my father and my brother's father were not the same father. My mother was going through a divorce, and she ended up pregnant with me, and I ended up here. I'm glad. God has given me a lot of favor throughout my life, following me around and things like that, teaching me without me even knowing it, that he was there. My mother left me in a foster home for a while until she got on her feet and stuff like that. And during that time, basically I sucked my thumb because whatever that purpose was. And that's when really a lot of the abuse started. From everything from, having a bat in my bed. In other words, I wear a bat in a bag in my bed to keep me from sucking my thumb, to being whipped in the tub until I bled.
Wow.
But I realized at that point they did put me in a Methodist church that I didn't really know was Methodist. I thought it was Catholic. I'll explain that later. But they put me in a choir, a children's choir, and I was singing. We were singing one day, and as I was singing there, I guess my head was praying God at the same time to stop the abuse and stuff like that. But at that point, me and my buddy sat there and watched this angel sitting there on the other side of the podium where we were, watching us sing and just singing along with us.
Wow.
And we tried to get everybody else to see it, but nobody else but me and my buddy saw it. And of course, I got in trouble after that because they thought we were disturbing the rest of the singers. But like I said, later on, I found out when I was 11 years old that my father was not my brother's father. And from that point on, it was like, okay, what do I do in my life at this point? And I said, at this point, we're still in different places moving around. And the abuse, sexual abuse started at that point. from different males and stuff like that. So my opinion of males, I don't like males at all. I can talk to a female easier than I can talk to a male. But I still said God was still with me because he kept on bringing people to me that would guide me in a way that asking me things about religion, asking me things about God and things like that throughout my whole life. And kind of wondered why he was bothering me, but didn't realize it. After that, my mother got married again. Of course, the physical abuse started when she got married again from the guy she married, where I was hit with got hit with a buckle belt, 157 stitches in my head.
Wow.
Things like that. And the abuse never stopped. It was always there. Both sexual and, physical and mental. So at that point, I was 16 and a half years old. I went into the Navy. Had to turn around, and my mother had to, after I was in the Navy already, in boot camp, and they had to go back and have my mother sign me in. Otherwise, they would have kicked me out. I started off as a foreman. Ended up that, I guess the doctor that I was working with said he had no problem with the way I was doing my job. He says, but I had too much empathy for my patients. He said, you're going to burn out before you're done. He says, during the day, you do your job perfectly. You do everything I ask you to do. You do the sewing. You do everything else that you need to do. He says, but when you leave here, everybody's telling me that your emotions crack down. He says, that's where you're going to break down. He says, you need to get out of this field and find something else. So I converted over to engineering. I figured, hey, it's an engine. If it blows up, I can fix it, and I don't feel bad about it. So during my Navy career, I went all the way up to E7. As far as that's concerned, like I said, the abuse had never stopped. It was even in the Navy, it still continued. By the people that were in the Navy. So I turned around and I went out and tried finding jobs. I went to church. I got They got what they call rent-a-sailor, where you'd go out and the church would pick you up, and then you would go with that family and live with that family for a day, or they would feed you for the weekend or something else, and you would help them out during that weekend. So, like I said, that was another chance that God walked into my life. He kept on coming to me, even when I didn't know he was there. I found I would just call my spiritual chalk somewhere in one of these houses that I was at with these people. I found it, but over the years I forgot it, and I picked it back up recently when I came over to Christian Retreat. Finally realized what it was that I was doing, this language that I was talking with and stuff like that. So, like I said, he's always been there guiding me somehow and not realizing it. And I worked, we were in Jersey. We ended up with 3 boys. This is my youngest here, Christopher. My oldest boy is in the Army now. He recruited him. He got out and turned around and recruited his older brother. My other son is in Jersey, and like I said, my family has been getting blessed with what God does to us.
Praise God.
He's given my other son, my middle son, with his Mosier's. It's a fabrication shop that he's treating him like another son. And his father told him, "You're not going to get rid of this guy. You keep him." And he's been in his life all this time, keeping him, helping him out with getting a house, helping him out with different things. So he's been helping him, and we've been helping Chris. He's going to college now, and he's now master diver as well.
Praise God.
And now he wants to go to Texas and be an underwater welder. Yeah, be an underwater welder. Okay. Let me get back to my notes here.
Yeah.
So like I said, and then what I got here is God's footprints have been, if I look back, God's footprints has always been there. Helping me out, helping me find jobs, helping me do tests. And I grew up until 6th grade not knowing how to read or write because I was dyslexic. And this teacher, Miss Boris, found out in 6th grade that that she found out I was dyslexic. And at that point, she tried turning around my brain so I could now read and write easily. My first book was The Deep, that I read completely and understood what I was reading.
Mm.
And I liked the book, too. Now that I could read. So now I've gone all the way up to, I've gotten, associates in computer science. I got a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and drafting. I got a master's in IT now.
Wow.
And all because of what she did, turning my head around. And like I said, God's footprints have always been there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting me to finally realize that they were there and walking me through it. Trying to see my time there, make sure I didn't go over. In the end, I got when I was in the Navy, I finally ended up getting medically discharged because I had a 700-pound hatch fall on my head. And if you go right here, you can still feel the sound-powered phones, the metal piece of the sound-powered phones, where the hatch hit. The lucky part was we were down by Cuba doing live wire support, and I gave the one guy the coordinates for the illumination, and I gave him the coordinates for the truck that we were supposed to hit. Good thing is we hit the truck, even though I got hit by a hatch and went downstairs. The good part is the staircase had oil on it, so I just slid right down. And the doc said, because of the sound-powered phones and had oil on that staircase, he said, you would have been gone. So, like I said, God's footprints. He's keeping me alive. He's keeping me alive for what I do, I guess. Like I said, most of the time I've learned a lot of things. God has given me favors to learn quickly. Things that, everything from engineering to plumbing to electrical work to other stuff. And he's given me friends here and there, slowly but surely with male friends, because like I said, it still bothers me a little bit. And he's taken it away, though it's fear and the pain away, but yet I'm still leery about being friends with somebody. Even though I'm friends with John over there, and even though we're both military and we both aggravate each other, we still love each other. During that time, I also had night operations to help, keep my head attached to my shoulders. Now I got pins on the other side, in other words, bars on the other side, and I got a cadaver bone in there, and I got a few other things in there. And I finally found my screws that I lost somewhere. They had to take this out because of a car accident. They had to redo everything.
Oh, wow.
But I did find my screws loose. Now you know my problem, Chris. Lost a few screws there. Like I said, we ended up going from Jersey to down here. Neither one of us, me and my wife, never did want to come down here, not to Florida. As far as we wanted to go was maybe, what's that? Not to live. To visit, yes, not to live. We came down here 2010, and like I said, God opened up the door for us to do it. She got the summer off from her job because she was 20 years of preschool, teaching preschool. I was working for McGuire Air Force Base for 22 years, so I got my 30-year thing, and then they medically retired me. Because they had, I guess medically they figured I wasn't capable because I could walk around and next thing you know, I'm a safety officer and I'm the one getting hurt all the time. I'm stepping on rocks, falling over, spraining my ankles, legs, and stuff like that. And medically, I was in a bad way too as well. So, like I said, God opened up the doors. He retired me. He gave her the one dog. So we went down to Florida, looked around to see what we could find. We finally found a house down here that 2 years earlier we paid for up at Palm Harbor and ended up getting our money back. And then we came down again and ended up getting the same house that was already on a property and already fixed up for us. Mm. So you can see where God has walked into our lives and kept us going. And we were trying to downsize, and we went from 1,700 square feet to 2,200 square feet, 120 by 120 to 6 acres. So that was our downside, what God's joke was. So, like I said, the favor was there. When we came down here, we ended up at our father's church, my stepfather's church, that my mother remarried again. We went to his church. He was the pastor of Sadie Baptist Church over in Mock City, and we stayed there for about 3 years. And we weren't growing in God as much as we wanted to, and she decided to look for a place that we could grow more. So she said, "Well, where can we go to get more information?" She said, "Okay, since she's background Catholic," she turns around and says, "Okay, let's find a retreat." So she looked up retreats, and we found a Christian retreat. Well, the day we got there, she turns around and says, "Oh, let's go to the retreat. We're going to go there real quick and do this and all that kind of stuff." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Don't you want to look at it first before you go to it to see what it's like?" She finally agreed, and then we ended up coming there. And the day we got there, Pastor Phil was doing his off-road series. He's laughing about it too. He's doing his off-road series, and there's like all kinds of trees and motorcycles and everything sitting up on the podium up there. And next thing you know, she hears this rumbling in the background, brum, brum, brum. And trying to figure out what it was. Next thing you know, Pastor Phil rides his motorcycle up onto the front podium. And she turns around and says, "What was the word you used?"
I said, "How disrespectful." How
disrespectful. And I said, "Oh yeah, this is good. this is great. I like this church so far." And as it was coming, because it was like the week before before the Feast of Tabernacle was going. So basically, they were starting to gear up. They had the flags out. They had the people dancing around up front. My opinion was, as long as they don't give us orange juice, we're fine. I said, "Who'd let the people out of the 60s out of here? Let them go." And the point of saying that was more that the openness and love that people were giving us. When we walked in there, they were hugging us, saying hello, greeting us like we were family. And that's the way I was looking at it. Like back in the 60s, yeah, they might have got a little bit wrong, but yet they had that love that was there from God. And that's what turned me on more to the church itself, that aspect. We turned around and I ended up, usher, because some things I was doing, I was helping out and stuff like that, and I ended up ushers for a while. And we started working with, I guess she ended up going to IOM. She ended up going to the IOM school, the Institute of Ministry. And at that point, I started helping out in the video section, stuff like that, from being an usher to the video section, and helping out in the sound and the lights and everything else. And I ended up getting stuck there. And I'm kind of enjoying it. It's fun up there. I mean, I get to watch everybody, see everybody's, hear the teaching, all the teachings. I get to hear everything that's going on. And there was one night that we were there, and Ben Smith was there, and he was up there praying for everybody. And then he lined us all up. And being an usher, I was learning how to keep everybody from falling on the brains. And
falling on the
brains. But I was sitting there with my wife, and Nancy was on one side, my wife was on the other side, and he was just lining us all up and praying for us, and turned around and said, I said to myself, I closed my eyes for a second. I said, God, don't forsake me. I said, forsake. And that's the last word I got out. I ended up going three rows back on my back. Okay, it tells me my time is up. It's only 20 minutes off. I ended up 3 rows back, laying on my back for somebody that don't need to be on his back or the back of his head. And didn't feel a darn thing. But when I woke up, I said, me? That was more or less God's way of telling me that I have never forsaken you. I've been there with you and always been there with you. So don't say that again. We ended up, somebody asked us if we wanted to go up to Christmas retreat up in Minnesota with Laura Uplinger. And at that time, Gerald walks over to us. Hey, I heard you're going to Minnesota. We hadn't even decided yet. So we ended up going up there, and it was the year they finally closed it down. But we worked up there, and it was fun. And we enjoyed the company we had, and we worked with Laura Uplinger. I ended up, of course, in the sound booth again, helping them out. And she started teaching. My wife started teaching as well. And we enjoyed our time up there. It was great. We got fellowship with a lot of people that we met, and enjoyed our company up there. We came back. We still worked with a few of the other deans that were there, and then we ended up with Laura Uplinger, and it was great. I mean, she's a great leader. She works well with us and other people. I'm kidding you. And like I said, I have 2 friends right now. One is John and one is Glenn over here, male friends that I deal with. Deal with me. It's questionable about that one. But we revamped, the God Encounter that was doing what they did before to a new one. And we got to the point where now we want to put the God Encounter on the road. Laura has some brochures if anybody wants to see it. We have our times created that we normally do a 3-day event, but we've now put it so we can manipulate if we need to. We can do a 1-day event, or we've done even 2 hours. 4 hours. Yeah, the smallest we did was 4 hours. And what we do is we take you from the cross to the coronation. And we have a, display and everything else to help you get into the mood of knowing what God has done for you and what His love was for you and what He's going to do later on for us. Okay? As the bride of Christ. Where is it now? Like I said, He's given me a lot of things. In other words, a lot of talent, a lot of things that I can do. I've done everything from, like I said, plumbing, electrical. I've built decks all around the Christian retreat, even the pastor's deck, and that was the last one I was doing. As John can say over there, I helped him out a lot with his truck, getting it to the point where he can go on the road and, live in his truck if he needs to. Also, give you a couple pictures. I only got a couple of them. These are some of the other things I've done for school. In other words, built quilts for the schools. Some of my other quilts I built. There's a bunch of like that. I don't know how many I've done so far. But I had one I built for my son when he was in the Army. It was a quilt with it's called Around the World. But what it looks like is, when I did it, I shifted the material, and it looked like somebody dropped a puddle in it, and it puddled out. The waves puddled out from it. And I surrounded it with, sand and white for the outside, like water coming up on the beach. On the back side of it had old sea animals on the back side of it.
That's awesome.
And a friend of mine saw that, and she wanted it. She wanted one, but king size. Took me a year and a half to finish it because of all the sewing.
Amen. I know the feeling.
And she was handicapped, and they used to watch her, our rock brother for us. And she wanted me to make her one of those. And I did, and I turned around, and she ended up getting buried with it. So she loved it. She loved it so much that was one of her requests, to be buried with it. So that was nice. I love that. For me, that was a great thing, honor in itself. While we were down here, I was working on my father's church, and it had old cedar blocks underneath it that was holding it up. And you could see in the floor where it was separating. In other words, you could watch the animals as you're going to church and watch them go by. The air conditioner wasn't doing very good. It was going right through the floors. So we ended up redoing the floors and putting blocks underneath the building, and ended up closing up all the joints in it. I found one beam that was completely rotted out, and we took it out of there, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to get a beam that's 16 foot long, a true 8x6 beam. And we were having a hard time finding it. We were trying to get railroad ties, maybe join them together or something like that. Because this whole building was what they call, pinned and down. It's an old, like an 1898 building that was all pinned and down. In other words, you put the holes in there and you put the wood in there and lock it together. And they're really strong. And we were going down, we were working on that, and I went down to the hardware store, and I picked up the stuff I needed for the electrical work I was going to do. And as we were coming back, I'm hearing, go into this hardware store. Go into the hardware store. That's all I'm hearing. In other words, in my head. I'm trying to think. I said, what the heck do I need to go in there for? And I turned around, I asked her, I said, I keep on getting here, and I got to go into this hardware store for some reason. I don't know why, but I got to go in there. She says, well, you're listening to it, go. So I pull in there, and the old boys are sitting there inside the building, sitting in their chairs, talking about their knees and all the other ailments they got, and what's going on the weekend. But the one guy that was there was one of the guys from our church, and he was asking me what was going on, and I told him. I said, I'm working on the church. We're trying to find this beam, a beam to replace one of the beams underneath. And the guy next to him says, I think I got just what you need. I said, okay, this is going to be interesting. So next thing you know, we're getting out of cars, we're following him out to the woods, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm hearing, Defiance? The movie Defiance, where you hear the banjo going, and I'm hearing that in my head going on. Because we're going out in this woods. I mean, we're really in the woods out here. And we come up to this one gate, and there's old farm equipment sitting out there, and next thing you know, we pull in the gate, and there's this whole big beam sitting on top of this equipment. Wow. Sitting there. Whoa. So we turn around, and he says, I built this barn, and I had this extra piece, and I didn't know what to do with it. But he says, now I know what I got to do with it. So I turned around, I asked him what he wanted, he said nothing. So we put it on my truck, and this thing's like hanging over the top of my truck. Of course, it dented it. But we got it all the way over to the church. This is the good part now. We got it all the way over to church, and I set it up. I cut out the corners and stuff like that, so I could set it up there. And my wife turns around and says, how are you going to get that thing in there? I said, well, let's pick it up and put it in the corner there, and I'll get some of the guys later on and help us. She says, between the two of us, this beam was heavy enough that it took us a while to get it up to that corner. And she says, you're really going to get somebody to help you? And I said, nah, watch this. I walked over like this, I tapped the end of it. I literally just tapped the end of it, like that, and the beam slid right across and dropped into place.
Oh, God.
I ran over there with the dowels and went like this real quick and screwed it in. I said, okay, put the building down. I said, we're done. We're out of here. Thank you, God. I appreciate this. We're done. But these are the kind of things that God has done for me, and showing me different things. He's downloaded deck designs for me. When I was arguing about, I was doing a rant for one of the crippled ladies that were at the church, and I was trying to set it up so it wouldn't go all the way out to the road, and you only had 30 feet to do it in, and you can only build the decks to 32 without getting permits and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and I'm arguing with myself. I fall asleep that night, and next thing you know, the whole blueprint is in my head, dropped into my head. I mean, exactly per numbers. And I turned around, we went out there, my wife was helping me, and I was out there and I was building, and I got halfway down the thing, and I said, nah, this doesn't look right, it's gonna be too long, and stuff like that. I'm talking to myself, and she turns around and says, what did God tell you? I said, okay. Did the way he said it came out perfect. All the way down. And it was nice, she loved it, the way the whole porch ended up. But in that way that, like I said, God has been with me and he's guided me. Sometimes I didn't recognize it. Sometimes it took me a while to look back. And everybody can see in your life, just look back. You can see his footprints, they're there. It's sometimes a little hard to see in there, but yet when your eyes are open, you can see the footprints he has.
Yeah.
And how he's helped you through your life and brought the good things to you, even though the bad things were there. That's all I got.